Maureen, I see you're on the call. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started in just a second, and I promise to give you the floor immediately. Maureen, just appreciate you so much. Okay, so it looks like we have some stayed in and watched stabby Christmas movies. Gotta love that. Perfect balance between relaxing and productive. Unpacked and watched the Netflix stuff. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch the new Christmas Chronicles with the kids.
Yeah.
The first one was so good. Yeah? You want to watch that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only saw the very beginning.
Yeah, no, you're not allowed to watch those things without me, kid. There's a reason why I had children, so I could continue to watch cartoons as an adult. If anybody has kids that need a good series, we've binged Airbender, Flora, and The Mandalorian. Yep. Okay, and then Slumber Party with 2 Under 5. I feel you, Stephanie. That was my mother. She took my children from me for a night for peace. Actually, she took 2. The little one's still too little. And I'm going to stop my share. You can give me 2 seconds. You can give me 2 seconds, please and thank you. So, welcome everybody to our first Fireside Chat of December, because it's December 1st. If this is your first time to the HR Fireside Chat, I'm Casey Park. I work in HR, and we have these on a weekly cadence to help people keep informed on timely topics, and also to just like have a little bit of community, because it's a little weird out there in COVID land, and it's getting weirder still. That's one of the reasons why today we have a very timely topic, and I have the wonderful Maureen Welker with us today to talk about our coming back to campus testing. I'm gonna go ahead and let her talk, because I know she has a ton of work going on right now, and we just really appreciate everybody in the public health office right now as they're trying to keep our campus safe and keep our campus open, and just doing all the things. So Maureen, I'll let you take it away. We want to talk a little bit about testing.
Thanks, Casey. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Maureen Welker. I'm one of the 2 public health officers in the public health office, as well as a growing office of, I guess we're now more than 30 individuals. I just wanted to start first by thanking my colleagues, especially Jordan Bastian and Nikki Ross, who have been on the ground running the show at the COVID testing center, and making all of this testing possible. They arrived on the scene after the holiday weekend, well before 7 a.m. yesterday, and were on well after 7 last night, running tests with everyone. We ended up testing 994 individuals yesterday. We're looking at testing, I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of testing about 700 individuals today. And there's continued testing Wednesday through Friday as well. There were some snafus yesterday at the center particularly connected with system problems. So as we all know, a new system, and keep in mind our COVID testing laboratory and center are all new. Systems are never a simple rollout. And some of those systems problems resulted in in the fact that there were folks that had to wait in line longer than what we would have liked, and that also, especially in the early mornings and in the cold, I recognize and that there were employees, students, and faculty that had to wait outside, and we appreciate your patience. We very quickly worked to resolve the systems problem and just continuing to move forward. I also want to put out a huge thank you to the Boise State community for all that you guys are doing, both for yourselves and your staff, to help keep us as safe and as open as possible. The results from yesterday's testing, although not completely in, we're looking at only 19 positives. So that's a 2% positivity rate right now, which is just fantastic. So thank you very much for all the work that you're doing to keep us all safe. I do want, though, to emphasize that we should not be letting our guard down. We all know that the rates are ugly out there, and we absolutely anticipate that our rates are going to go up by the time we do testing again next week. And so there is, I guess there's sort of a rallying cry or slogan out there with the ski areas, where they say, don't be the reason that we don't have a season. And I think that slogan is just sort of a reminder that it's up to all of us to make this work. And again, to keep our campus as open and as safe as possible. So I guess I also want to emphasize that, especially when we're talking about asymptomatic testing, which is what we're doing right now for the most part, nobody when they get a call to find out that they've tested positive is like, oh, I knew it. Never. It's almost always a complete and total surprise and a shock. And so, I'll give an example even of a media person that we tested. When we reached out to that person, their response was, oh my gosh, I never, ever would have guessed. And his was one of a more positive, where he was like, you guys are actually making a huge difference, because if I hadn't gotten this test, I can't tell you how many people I would have exposed. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's nobody is like expecting this when you're asymptomatic. Let's see. I'd also want to just to like sort of review the big picture around all of this. So if we can recall, our focus for post-Thanksgiving was as much as possible to de-densify campus. So that is what we are wanting first and foremost. And why? Why are we wanting to do that? Well, our rates in our community are high. We, at this point in Ada County, we're past 22,000 cases and almost 3,500 probable cases. That's scary. And not only that, but we're in the middle of the cold and flu season. We're hunkering down in homes. We're not outside. So because of that, decisions were made very early on that we would be de-densifying campus, going online only after Thanksgiving. And so again, this is the focus of our time right now. Why are we testing? So we are testing because, first of all, we want to emphasize, and this is up on our website, that we are following CDC recommendations, and we have asked that despite testing, anyone who participated in activities over the holiday season that falls above the low and moderate levels, what CDC would consider high risk activities needs to quarantine for the 14 days after the holiday. Now, testing gives us a single point in time picture of what somebody's COVID status is. So if you tested yesterday and you get your results, you are finding out what your COVID status was at that point. If you get tested today, it's that point of which you're testing. And that's why we're requiring 2 tests. Because again, the point of this testing is to be able to identify exposures that happened over the holiday break. So we're testing immediately when folks are coming on campus. That's this week's testing. And then at that 14-day exposure time post-Thanksgiving, which is what next week's testing is. So for individuals on campus, it's 2 tests, one this week and one next week. Let's see here. The other thing I think there might be a little bit of confusion. So I just want to re-emphasize the fact that after you've been tested, you can be on campus until you get your test results, but you should be practicing all of our regular public health practices, wearing facial coverings, practicing physical distancing, washing hands, cleaning surfaces before and after use. You guys know the drill. All right, the next thing is how to get your results. So for you and your staff to get your results following testing, you will receive an email from our Stratus system. And that email should be arriving, within 24 hours of your test. At most, it would be up to 48 hours if there was a need to rerun a test. But we know that some people are having trouble finding those emails. Sometimes that's a user error issue where somebody typed in their email address wrong, or they put in their Gmail account instead of their Boise State, or their Boise State instead of their Gmail.
Gotta love those human errors.
Yes. But more so, there's issues where the email maybe went to a junk folder, or we've identified that there are some problems with the Safari browser. So because of that, folks, it is best not to be looking up your results on your iPhones. You should be trying to look up your results on a computer if at all possible. But in general, if you go to our COVID testing center page it's all the way at the bottom, but there are a whole bunch of strategies that are there that you can use to be able to find, to be able to locate that email. If you've attempted all of those strategies, again, it could be that your email was added in incorrectly. So then just reach out to public health and we'll help you get that. The next question, I know that many of you are wanting to know how you will know if your staff have been tested or not. Well, at the end of each test date, we are sending out a list, or I should say we are sending out emails to everybody who was tested to confirm that they went for testing that day. So late last night, those emails were sent out. So anyone who was tested yesterday got an email from the Boise State Testing Center to say that they participated in testing. Now that does not give a test result. It only confirms that an individual has been tested. If an individual tests positive, then we will go through our regular contact tracing process, and we will be informing faculty and staff and supervisors and close contacts of one, if you're a close contact, and then 2, for individuals when they can be back on campus. So the other piece is that we have provided a full list of everybody that was tested from the day to two different groups. One group is HR, and I'm not sure how that can be used to verify. Maybe Casey can speak to that when I'm done, but then also to some faculty coordinators. So you can ask to see the email that from your staff that verifies that they have participated in testing. Now, again, those emails for days moving forward will continue to be sent out at the end of the testing day. The last question that we've been getting a lot about is what if you or one of your staff members have tested positive previously? Do you still need to test? The answer is no, as long as there are two criteria are met. One, that you're asymptomatic, and two, that you tested positive within the last 90 days. If you meet both of those criteria, reach out to the public health office, and we will we will verify that information with the individual and send out a clearance from the testing that's happening this week and next week. So we have had probably about, I think about 20 individuals reach out to us yesterday, just around past positivity and not needing to get retested. I guess at this point I will stop for questions.
Well, you answered the first one I had. And then also, how long does it take to get those test results once you have been tested?
So the test results should absolutely be there within, between 24 and 48 hours at the uppermost amount. In some situations, it's a matter of hours. A lot of it depends on what plate your test is run on. And if you're at a busier or less busy time when your test is being put in, if it's towards the end of the day or the beginning of the day. If you're tested towards the beginning of the day, you're more likely to have a test faster than if you're tested at the end of the day. Now, this is still despite folks at the laboratory working. I think last night they were up still running tests at 10 o'clock at night. So, but all of those factors play a role. But I would say that if you have not seen an email within 24 hours, that you should actively be looking for that email and or reaching out to the public health office.
Thank you, Maureen. And then thanks, Sue. She got hers, wow, within a business day, 7.5 hours on the Friday before Thanksgiving, no less. Way to go, you guys. So I do have a question that came in about remote workers with no anticipation of coming back to campus until the new year. We don't have to be tested. We're doing our part by not coming to campus. It's only if you plan to come to campus this week and next that we're requiring testing, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it's this week, you're lucky ducks. If you come in this week, you get 2 tests. And if you come in next week, it's 1 test to kind of get that snapshot in time.
Correct.
I had asked you this question on the phone, but I think this crew would like to hear the answer because I was curious about it. Why aren't we doing any more additional testing after that?
Yeah, the testing's not stopping. We are still going to be doing testing, still have testing available for folks that are symptomatic. We're also going to have voluntary testing for in preparation of the Christmas and winter holiday season starting, I believe it's December 11th. So testing's not stopping. It's just the required testing will not be there. Again, the required testing is all about testing for possible exposures connected with the Thanksgiving or fall holiday break.
Thanks, Maureen. I just was like, that was one of those logic moments where I was like, oh, of course that's right. But I didn't make that connection. So if I didn't make that connection, somebody else is on my level. Just too many things on their brain to think. And that's why I just so appreciate that we have an expert amongst us who's willing to talk to us. Thanks, Sarah, for the shout out to all of Maureen's lab techs and everybody working over there.
I would say if folks are still haven't gone for testing, and if you have the opportunity to thank the staff at the COVID testing center, please do. They have been working very long and hard hours to make this happen, both in preparation for and ongoing, and just doing a fantastic job. So if you do have the opportunity to shout out some kudos in person, physically distanced, of course, then please do.
So just because Thanksgiving is over doesn't mean that we can't continue our spirit of grace and gratitude. Remember, that's how we're finishing out 2020. If you have been to our fireside chats, that's kind of my mantra for this show. We got a question. Is there a generic email for the testing center? I'm going to throw that in chat. There is. I know Maureen can answer this, but I'll take the easy questions from you. It's publichealth@boisestate.edu, and I'll put that in the chat for everyone. Okay, so we also have a question. What happened?
Sorry, there's also one specific to COVID testing that you can also use. It's COVID testing at Boise State .edu. But if you're looking, so anyway, you can use either of those.
Perfect. Okay, so both of those are in chat. And then we got a couple questions. What happens when essential workers don't want to? So those folks who have to come on campus to do their jobs are refusing to test. And this might not be a Maureen question. Denise, I think it's funny that you pose that question because you might have to answer
it. This question has come up, so that's why I'm asking it.
Okay. So the email we sent out said that this is a mandatory thing and it cited policy. So talk to your supervisor, and we have to go up through the chain of command on that and have a conversation about our responsibilities in our jobs, and then also our responsibility for keeping campus safe. If this is a medical concern, we have the wonderful medical team that can answer questions. If this is a supervisor conversation, it's definitely a supervisor conversation. Denise, I'm not doing this justice because I'm the
so you're the also on the website. It says that the EEOC, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, says that we can test as a condition of employment. So as a condition of them coming on campus and working, they must be tested. And if they don't, if they're a classified employee especially, that would be considered insubordination because they're going against the direct order of a supervisor.
Yikes. We don't need that.
So we're pretty serious about the health and safety of people on campus.
Which I think we should also be pretty proud of. Because I mean, we've talked about how Boise as a city is pretty compact, and then Boise State as a university is even more compact. So our risk of transmission is even higher. So the fact that we have this weighty responsibility to keep ourselves, our community, and others safe is a big deal, and we shouldn't take that lightly. Okay, we have a couple other questions. Kristen, you had asked about signing up for testing. I just threw that link in chat. And then we have a question about anticipated options for family members who need to be tested as well as student and staff. Maureen, correct me if I'm wrong, but our testing center does testing for family members. It's not just students and employees, or am I incorrect in that?
For right now, for right now, we are testing, like focusing on our testing of the faculty, students, and staff. If there is an interest in family members being tested, let's go ahead and reach out to public health or COVID testing, but there would be a cost involved for that testing.
Okay. And I can get more information from Maureen on any costs that are associated with family members, and I can throw it in the recap. I know you guys didn't get a recap from empathy and evaluation, so you're going to get a double this week. My week got really, really packed full last time.
I see also there's a question about whether or not students, staff, faculty need to wait for results before coming to work on campus. No, as long as you are asymptomatic, you may come to campus, again, as long as you're maintaining all of our public health practices while you're waiting for your results.
Yes, thank you for seeing that one. And Maria, I did record this session. So Maureen outlined how the communication goes to people. And so she mentioned that there was a list of everyone who was tested throughout the day, and that goes to HR. And I'm sorry, Maureen, the other group that gets that list is...
Oh, sorry, a group of faculty coordinators.
Okay.
So, I believe Susan Shadle and Michelle Payne were the ones that received.
So in HR, that's our like FMLA group. So they're the ones that are notified that you were tested. So if you do end up with a positive result, those people who are going to be there to help you. And Denise Stringer, wave, Denise, is one of those folks. There's a happy face to help you out. If you ever have questions about that, you can shoot her, Tiffany Trader and Tiffany Widman. They're the point of contact within HR. So Maria, that was kind of a jumbled answer to your question, but I think I got it. We do have a question about ADA accommodations, about standing in lines, and if there's the option to test in their cars.
So go ahead, if there is such a need for an accommodation, just feel free to reach out to us, again, public health or COVID testing, and absolutely we can make adjustments to be able to come out, to be able to have those individuals tested.
Perfect. Does that help you out? It's got an acronym. If not, throw it in chat. So Sue had asked about if we require people to send the email to their supervisor that they are getting tested. We're encouraging you to do that so your supervisor knows that you're getting tested, but we have like back office ways of being able to assure your supervisor that you're being tested and letting HR know. And then if they have a question, we've got that list.
I was mostly just responding to Maria.
Oh, perfect. You got my back too. So yes. Well, sorry. I love it. Thank you. Everybody it takes many hands to lift this load. So Yvette has the question, if somebody needs to pick something up from the office, but you're not working, do you need to get tested? I got this email yesterday and I said, if it's going to take you less than 3 minutes to walk in the door and out the door, wear your mask, physically distance, get your stuff and get out. But we want to encourage that as infrequently as possible. So if you're going to go to campus once and do that, that's cool. But if you're going to be doing that every single day, you'll have to go back to, why are we doing this? We're doing this to limit the transmission of this virus. So every time you come to campus is a touch point. And if you're not getting tested, we don't have that snapshot to know whether or not you are potentially infected. And as Maureen illustrated, asymptomatic folks, I mean, it happens all the time. I actually had a friend who was like, hey, how's life? And she's like, apparently I have COVID. No clue. We're totally asymptomatic. I'm like, okay, well, let's not do coffee unless it's over Zoom, lady. So, I mean, you just never know. So you have to be careful about what you are doing. I don't want that to sound hypercritical, but I think it's a lot harder. As a parent, I'm always trying to think about, do I have to take them into the store because they're going to touch stuff? Like, do I have to go and run this errand now, or can I like find another way around it just to limit how much I'm exposing myself or even others to me? So I'll get off this soapbox. And if you guys have any other questions for our expert while we have her, I know she needs to get back to some contact tracing. And we've been so blessed to have her for 30 minutes. Oh my gosh, guys, I didn't even think we'd get her this long. I had to unmute to tell them to be quiet, or mute to tell them to be quiet, because y'all don't need to hear my mom voice. Okay, if I get any more questions, I'll be sure to put them in the recap email. Maureen, I really appreciate you being here. Like I said, you have a job, lady, and your team is doing some work. We wouldn't be able to pull this without you, and we just really appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything.
Well, thanks for having me on today. And again, I just want to reemphasize the focus on team. This is a team effort. It's not just the public health office or the lab techs or the folks running the testing center. It's all of us, and all of us doing our part to be able to keep this campus as open and as safe as possible. So absolutely appreciate all that each and every one of you is doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, guys, stay tuned. I do have more for you. I'm going to share my screen. I saw this little thing and I almost put it as the opener, but I decided not to. But it's too funny not to share with my favorite crowd. So here's a little bit of levity on your Tuesday morning. Before I agree to 2021, I'm gonna need to see some terms and conditions. Yup. That's where we're at in life, folks. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. That was totally just I have a captive audience. I'm going to bombard you with a little bit of comedy. Y'all needed that on a Tuesday, you know it. Okay, we do have some HR updates for you today. I've been working on a project. Sean Miller, who all of you know has fantastic ideas, just at weird times, sent us this great email about how he was in the shower and it came to him that we should definitely do more Matt in the Fireside chats. Only let's make them more bite-sized. And I was like, what a weird place to have that kind of idea, Sean, but okay. And he did preface with like, don't get me fired over this. And so now I'm gonna record it to make it real fun. He's my supervisor. I've got to poke a little fun at him. Okay, so I have been working with Matt Neese, and we have decided that we're going to create, in partnership with Bronco Fit and with the Counseling Services Department, Minute with Matt, which isn't always going to be Matt because he's a busy dude and he's got a lot of amazing people on his staff who want to be part of this project. So what we're working on is 5 to 7 minute videos on topics that you guys would be interested in, such as empathy, well-being, creating boundaries, and trying to put them not in like a global sense, because when we think about empathy globally, it's a huge thing. But when we put it in the context of our world and somebody who lives and breathes and works in our community, it takes on a more real sense to what it is. So I am happy to share with you that I have the first demo completed, and on our YouTube playlist, for the HR Fireside chats, you'll notice that there's a cute little 6-minute videos amongst the hour to 40-minute monstrosities that are these recordings. And you can see a 5-minute or a 6-minute video of Matt Neese talking about empathy. And for those of you who get to go to the empathy and evaluations trainings, Abel and Kyle have that video as part of their presentation to stress how empathy is going to be a focal point for our employees this year. So totally spoiling everything because I made the video and it's pretty awesome if I do say so myself. And I think you guys will enjoy. Okay, so we have another update, and I'm gonna have Sean talk about this a little bit. We had some weird fraud in the unemployment world. You're gonna see a campus update about it, but I'd love for him to unmic and tell us just who people thought they could get away with claiming unemployment as.
Yeah, so we had received a report that someone had filed an unemployment claim from members of our upper leadership. And so basically anyone can go out to the website and find someone's address and file a claim. But what happens is that specific employee and our department would receive a notice that the claim was filed. And then we would verify if the claim really had been filed, and if not, then there's a fraud line that we contact and have the employee contact. So just as a heads up, we don't know how widespread it is. To our knowledge, it only has happened to 2 people, probably because they're very prominent in our organization and someone read about them in the newspaper, or it was some sort of weird joke, I don't know. But regardless, as Casey indicated, we prepared an update article that will go out explaining the situation, and if this happens to someone that you know or to you, it has some steps of what you can do to protect yourself. We also contacted directly the leadership of the Department of Labor to let them know the situation, and so they're on high alert also. And it's not unique to Boise State. It's unfortunately just the time we live in. So if you get that and you have any questions, give us a shout. But that article we think will go out. What do you think next week, Casey?
So I talked to Sherry and she thinks that there's going to be another update probably on Friday. So be looking for that under employee news. But that article will be on the HR news page sometime today, if I can get my brain screwed on right. Thank you, Sean, for that update. I always find humans super amusing when they're like, I'm going to just be Dr. Trump for a minute and I'm going to get unemployment. And I'm like, it's not how it works. Is that like, what ideas? Anyways, so Catherine Weitz is wonderful, and she wanted to remind you that timesheets for the holidays are due, and we're going to be sending out an email to managers and supervisors as soon as I finish writing it with all of the links on that. But make sure that you put in your 3 days if you are salaried of vacation time, and then hourly folks, leave those blank for those holiday days, and we'll be sending posting a web page here shortly, and I'll get you guys links with all the information. Holidays are goofy, but the beautiful and wonderful people in payroll are always here to answer questions. If you have questions, they're great. I love them. And if you ever forget to enter your time, they're like, hey, do your time. I'm like, yes, you're wonderful. Thank you. Okay, one last thing, because I don't think she's on this call, and because I think that this would be wonderful. Catherine Weitz has given her notice and is moving on. As if you hadn't heard, she is moving on to a beautiful new venture with a local Boise company where she gets to run, just like Sean Miller, her own HR department. And she is super excited about how the focus is on employees, and just, I know she is going to do such great work. If you don't know Catherine Weitz, seriously, she is one of the best people I have ever had the privilege to work with. She is humbling, and she says things with such a deadpan delivery that you're like, what? But then there's such care behind that message. Catherine's last day is the 10th, so please send her a message and let her know, because she's one of those people that just quietly works in the background and doesn't expect a lot of love and praise. But going into this next role, it's always kind of scary going into something new, even if you're excited about it. I think that we could do a lot to build her up by reminding her of what her impact to Boise State has been. If you can send her a quick note, a quick chat, a quick email, just to tell her that she's going to be missed, because I know I'm going to miss her. Granted, I just moved pretty much into her neighborhood, and I'm going to be harassing her as often as possible because that's who I am. Okay, that is all I have for you for HR updates and sad news of Catherine's departure. But this is, as always, your time. You have HR professionals on the line. If you have questions for us, we are here for you. Feel free to put them in chat or to unmic and ask questions. I will do the most awkward thing ever and Zoom pause starting now. Y'all know I hate this. I really don't have anything else for you. So if you don't have questions for us, I give you the gift of time. But if you have questions, I'm here. Y'all can hear the dog squeaky toy in the background because I live in chaos. Okay. Zoom pause completed. I set a timer, by the way. I wait for a full minute. If you guys don't have questions, I let you go. And I'm giving you a full 18 minutes back in your day. Take 2 of those minutes to send Catherine an email or a chat for me, please. But don't tell her I told you to. I don't think she's on this call. Everybody have a fantastic week. Next week, we will have Jordi Lapiani on the call. We're going to be talking about some new initiatives and some really cool stuff that we've got worked up with the HR welcome team. Don't miss next week. Bring a friend and look forward to a double recap because I will get the empathy and evaluations information out to you probably tomorrow. Thanks, guys, for joining. Have a great week.